Traders, what's up guys? Welcome to another Monday Market Breakdown. May 1st, Monday. It's always a good combination, alright? As you guys know, last week was, it's my best week this year thus far. It was almost a 5-figure week. I remember 2 weeks ago, I mentioned how it could have been a 5-figure week if I got in on the Aussie short that some of the guys got in on Thursday, but last week was really good. I guess I'll put up some snapshots and I'll do some recordings of what I mentioned last week on the Euro and what I mentioned last week on the Aussie. And actually ended up getting in a position, a Euro GBP trade that I just threw out there in the room. I'll show you guys a before and after of that right there. And so, boom. So other than that, closed out close to right around 8K that last week. And do I see the same opportunities? No, not at the moment. Right now, I really loved last week's structure. I really did. But this week is a little bit more complex. Fundamentally, I'm not as fundamentally sound as to what's going on. I had a lot going on this weekend. Actually, I had to rush down and I had a family emergency down in Florida and literally just got back this Monday. So really just throwing this out there to really kind of help you guys conceptualize more or less the market structure. Now, fundamental implications that could give us some kind of gyration this week. There's not that many, so that's a good sign. There is one thing that may be a large catalyst to market behavior and market structure. Market structural changes. Trump, all right, so isn't that every week? But anyway, Trump this week is he just released his tax plan, and again, if that gets implemented, or if that idea starts to have some kind of implications as to how investors deem the U.S. dollar, deem the U.S. bond market, deem the U.S. equities, then we could get some strength. I mean, right now, in terms of riskier assets and risk on, that's definitely happening in the marketplace, okay? There's not much risk off happening. You don't see people running to safety in terms of the bond markets, in terms of the metal markets, all right? A lot of those things are selling off quite a bit. So again, if we do have some more investor trust in Donald Trump, then hopefully we'll actually get a sell-off on some of these pairs, which is what we've been trying to prelude to. I mean, last week I mentioned on the Euro USD, and you can quote me on this, I said, guys, be careful on this Euro. We may have one more leg up. Here's the snippet of that right here. All right, check that out.
If there's some different kind of price formation that allows this Euro to maybe kind of push back up a bit, this is what I mentioned earlier during my little fundamental outlook, we may get maybe one last push up before Wednesday, before Trump's little speech. We may get one last push up before this market turns over, okay? Because just as likely as there may be some sell-side momentum, you got to think, the market's already been testing this low here. We could easily have this market start testing some of the price structure up here in this high as well. So
okay, so it's really important for you to, watch that and rationalize that. Again, you don't really understand liquidity. You can't guess and just say, hey, the market is in an illiquid state of buyers because we've just, had this huge surge in price action to the upside. We had a huge jump in price action. What do they call it? I don't know why I forgot. A huge gap fill, sorry. So again, you can't just assume liquidity issues. You can't just assume to start selling things off a bit, okay? So what I did do last week was that last leg up, I took a break down to where that leg began. So literally there was a 100% retracement. And with my trading strategy, I caught around 70% of that down move, all right? I like to take the 23% break of the Fibonacci. All right, you guys know that, all right? So when I got 100% retracement all the way back down to the 60s, okay, that market just surged right back up, and as you guys can see, we'll pull over into the charts, we're consolidated, all right? So as of right now, again, it'd be nice to have some awesome fundamental U.S. fundamental implications to give us some downside move here. But if we start to hold certain levels, the 019s, for quite a while, we might get a little bit more of a buy-side push, because yeah, we pushed another leg higher, but if you guys look at the market structure on the daily, we've really been consolidated in a range there, all right? So that's our Euro. Aussie, being honest with you guys, missed the Aussie trade today. There was a nice 23 break. The market was extremely overextended, came right down to a 50% retracement. There was a very, very fast move last week after the, so that's where I caught that Aussie gap fill. So we took the gap fill all the way back down into the low, or almost again, I took it almost down to 100% retracement, and we actually broke the level, and we did end up hitting a 14-week low. All right, so Only thing is there, though, I'm looking on the 4-hour, and we really consolidated down there at that level, pinging around, and formed a very solid ceiling. I'll pull over into the charts and show you. And then, boom, we gap all the way back up to structure, okay? So, again, very nice trade. Not sure who was in that, but I missed it, all right? So, just being honest with you folks. And pound, not much going on with pound, okay? So, and what do I want to do with pound? Again, I'd like to sell it off as well as the other US crosses, all right? So other than that, guys, let's pull over to the charts. Let's have a really solid month. Let's stay consistent. In the pipeline right now, I have 8 videos done, all right? And they're all very good and they're very awesome. And I actually do have a little bit of a collab coming, maybe not this week, but maybe next week with a really awesome YouTube and just, trading, consulting little situation. So you guys will hear a little bit more about that later on as well. I'm sure you guys know who they are, all right? All right, so other than that, guys, let's pull over into the charts and, let's throw down some analysis.
Okay, sweet, guys. So I do love that this is taking... Okay, sweet, guys. I also love how this is kind of moving along, all right? I know my last breakdown was 30 minutes, and sorry about that. I'm going to try to keep these under 15 minutes, all right? So, again, this Euro trade, a very simple trade. I want to go over last week's price action, okay? Remember what I mentioned, guys, all right? I said, guys, look, we might have a surge. There's a really nice ceiling right here. We might have a surge of price action come on in and break this high or range within this high here. Guys, that's exactly what happened. And guess where I took my break? You can still see the markup right there, all right? So break came in, boom, got in on that Euro drop right there in the 1930s. Yep, and we took it all the way back down to the 60s, actually. So I really caught the bottom of that move. And then after that, we did start ranging around. And so as you guys can see, we're now on 30-minute. We're just kind of consolidating in the area. Now, is there some kind of price actual formations that we can check out to kind of maybe give us some ideas as to where these market participants and market players want to take this thing? Yeah, I mean, you could ask yourself, hey, look, is this a lower high scenario coming in, at least on the downside, which means technically we'd be wedging, right? So because as you look at this high here, the high, it's in a zone, right? I mean, there may not be one solid level here that we can take price action on, but it's definitely a zone. So if we pull out, are we slightly wedging? Is it really ugly? I think it's an ugly wedge that's coming in. So maybe... and if you look on the 4-hour, you'll really see it. All right, so we are making some serious higher lows here on this 4-hour, and at this point, it's just about okay. And maybe it's not so ugly, but we do have some piercing of the high there. So we're really about to come to a conclusion here as to where this euro is going to go. Either we're going to break this high and continue a little bit further outside of this 09s, and we'll actually hit the $10s, or we're going to bust this low. And folks, it will be the low. It will be the busting of all lows if we can bust this low here, because trust me, there is going to be some illiquid areas here in terms of price action. I don't think buyers are going to be really willing to start buying this market up until really around the very low 8s. Honestly, the mid 7s, all right? So that's something I'm looking at, and maybe it'll look a little bit better for you once we start going over here onto this daily. So if you want to check out some fibs on it, that's totally fine too. Remember, folks, technical analysis gives you precision. It is not your trading strategy. Your trading strategy is actually understanding price behavior and using that and looking for repeatable price behaviors to build a strategy around, to build a methodology around, okay? So the methodology actually sits on top of the price behavior, okay? So unless you can deem certain price behaviors have come to fruition or not, then you're not trading within your strategy. Technical analysis doesn't tell you about market condition, about market participation and sentiment. It only shows you what's kind of drawn up and how things are kind of configured. You got to go a little bit deeper than that. So if you guys notice here, we've been holding this 23.6. We really have. I mean, we've had some structural closes, for a little bit. But other than that, we've pinged down and we've really held this 23.6 and we've sustained the level. So at this point, you really just have to ask yourself, okay, remember what a 23.6 is, folks. It is the purest sign of a momentous market. If a 23.6 Fibonacci holds, then you're in a very, very momentous state in terms of the current market structure, okay? So can 23.6 hold? Absolutely. And, I could show you a multitude of different examples of where the 23.6 held on the pound, all right? So for us, we just have to ask ourselves, okay, if this 23.6 is going to hold, where are the more likelier places that I need to be taking shorts? And if it is, if it's not going to hold, and if it is going to hold, where should I be taking buys? That's where you got to ask yourself. You don't have to be in a selling mindset and just sitting outside of the market for 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks until you get your buy going or your sell going. You can interact on both sides, all right? You can be directionless. But there is a bad side of being directionless because you can kind of get whipped around a bit, right? So you can say, okay, we're buying. Okay, we're selling. Okay, we're buying. So you want to have a really, really conclusive idea as to where these markets can go based off of, again, a refining of your strategy. What does a buy mean to you? What does a sell mean to you? Okay, and you determine your directional bias based off of that. So anyway, we really just have to see how things fold out. Obviously, I'm getting to the point here as basically I'm forming an idea that, hey guys, look, we're going to have a little bit more market price structure, price formations to kind of show us where this thing wants to go. If we can get a break of this high here, again, I think we can finally hit some of the 10s, or we may just kind of range up here in this high there, all right? If we can get some fundamental catalyst to shoot us outside of this low, guys, we're there, all right? So obviously, the trade I want to be in is the short, but we might have a very small buy opportunity. Now, the risk level in that buy in terms of the downside potential is immense, so it is not something that I would want to be holding for quite some time. I mean, unless the momentum is just really there, and I'm like trend trading, at the end of the day, folks, I'm not in a retracement. So when you're trend trading and you're not in a retracement and you're taking breakouts, that is the worst entry that you can have in the trading business with that style of methodology, with a trend trading methodology, all right? So we'll just have to see how things unfold, folks. That's really just it. Okay, let's get some price action. Let's see what this overnight does. Let's see what that U.S. session tomorrow does, and we can be a little bit more actionable. So here's that Aussie break. Here's that Aussie short, beautiful trade. My traders are going to love this, and they're going to know exactly why. It's just, again, gorgeous, all right? So pop, okay, and we're winning, all right? So, again, not much downside risk on this bad boy. Immense amount of consolidation on the 4-hour 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, I mean, you're having days of consolidation since the 26th. All right. So obviously, what does that tell you? Hey, look, we're getting a lack of liquidity to this sell side, folks. All right. Let's get some buyer side momentum going. Maybe we'll have to push this market a little bit higher for us to break that low. Boom. All right. That's when you get in on that buy. So currently, where this market's sitting, there's a lot of options, and I hate having options. I want the market to be on one side that is highly probable where I can be like, oh, hell yeah, let's start taking positions there, and either I'm right or I'm wrong. But I don't like being like buy, sell, either or. That's not what I want to do. So at the moment right now, if you're looking at the general perspective on this daily, maybe if we even go to the weekly, it might look better for you, but this looks pretty good on the daily. We're sitting again at a very momentous, technically a momentous market. We haven't had very many pullbacks. If I show you here, I'll have to go to the 4-hour for that to look pretty for you. We haven't had the too large of pullbacks. I mean, we've had this here, we've had that here, that kind of just sat in consolidation. We ended up breaking the low there. We're back up into this high here. Okay, so the way things kind of look in this general idea, it's very trendy. I actually also somewhat see more of a trend line potentially, right? I mean, I like to draw my trend lines from here to there. Okay, so we do have a trend line situation, and let's do the same thing. Are we in a channel? It's not a pretty channel if we are in one, obviously. Let's see what we got. I might have to clear this up for you guys so it can look a little bit prettier. Sorry about that. And let's see what we get. So, boom. I love how this thing just uses the same ratio. All right, so we do have a little bit of something here in terms of, hey, price action, doing its thing in terms of, just trying to find its footing in terms of buy or sell. Obviously, if we're going to be taking some buys, hey, you're not in the place to be taking buys, okay? I mean, if this channel is going to be obeyed, then we might have a little bit of a sell-off here before we push higher, okay? So if you're buying, maybe this isn't the place you want to buy. Again, if you were going to be a buyer here in this market, you missed that, okay? Opportunities come and go, folks. So that's something you need to look out for. So maybe we can get a little bit of a retracement before we get the buy-in, or maybe we can catch a retracement on the break of the 75.20s level, okay? So me and my boy Kyler, I'm always talking about Kyler. Me and my boy Kyler, we're always pushing things back and forth to each other, looking at certain market structures and stuff like that. And we were looking at these 75.20s level here, and we were looking for the 75.20 level to break. And if it does, then we're in a trade. All right, so basically that's it for you folks. Now on the buy side, we don't have a buy. I'm not looking for a buy right now. I really would like to take a little bit of a sell. Maybe we can get a little bit of a retracement, consolidate back here in these lows. And again, if this market just isn't really ready to pop, we'll probably just continue to range up in this upper range that I mentioned to you guys last week, okay? You guys got to stay up to date in what I'm talking about on these breakdowns, but let me clear everything off. I used to hate clearing stuff off because I didn't remember my markups were. But now I'm just so confidently saying, hey, let's take all this shit off. All right, so again, maybe we can push over into the monthly and show you guys what I'm talking about. But remember, folks, last week I mentioned, technically last month, I mentioned to you guys, hey guys, look, man, there's a very strong structural level here that is just hard to be broken. Guys, look what we're getting. We're getting a surge in price action there, all right? So again, let me go back to the weekly. If we're going to be buying this market up, this is where you want to do it, definitely. So again, you could take a somewhat of a late entry by taking a break of that 23.6 from the high to the low there, or you could wait for a intraday pullback a little bit, and maybe you can get in on that move here, okay? So this is what I'm looking at, folks, fib here. So again, if you're going to buy it up, you want to start buying this thing up right now. You want to start buying it up right now if you're really trying to swing it back up into here in the structure. But if you're going to be if you want a better price, then you might have to wait on it, and you may be waiting for nothing, right? It may just rocket ship against you. So if you want to buy this up and you want a really good feasible price, then that's around 30 points away back at the 75 flats, or you could take a sell back into the 75 flats. There are your options. But if you want to get on a buy, a slightly risky buy, then hey, you're looking to execute that right now. All right, so we'll see again how price action adds up. Aussie, not the most conclusive ideas that I've ever had for a trade, so, and that's all right. We'll get more of them. So pound really consolidated all last week, which is all good. Pound consolidated all last week is all good. So we pushed on the pound a little less than we consolidated in a range of right around 120 points. Okay, you guys got to think, we came off last week from the 25s and we shot to the 29s. Okay, so a lot of volatility the week prior, 2 weeks ago. So again, relatively speaking, all right, pound was a little bit slow. So if I pull in on you guys here, what you'll notice is we didn't really start getting a push in that pound to the end of the week there, and we actually just did get a little bit of a sell-off. So pound, we consolidated here in this range, and we did end up getting a push on this pound, 120-point push. All right, and so right now we're looking like we're about to kind of head back down and maybe sit here on this level before we get a move higher. So again, man, pound is again on a very, very long-term perspective. I shouldn't add that many varies. Pound is absolutely undervalued. Okay, it really is. When it comes to the economics and when it comes to just the monetary policy of pound USD, of pound and the US dollar, pound is supposed to be back up here in the 35s and potentially in the 40s, okay? There was an overreaction to this market when Brexit kicked off, and the pound is currently correcting that, and we could, again, see it move further, but you have to just really ask yourself, damn, is it going to be this fast? Am I really not going to get any kind of pullback? Because you want to think, listen, the person who thinks quicker and acclimates quicker to market conditions is the one that makes the most money. All right, so at the end of the day, I'm going to have to acclimate if this thing's going to be momentous and really hold these levels here, and I have to stop waiting for a pullback because I'm not going to be able to really take advantage of these buys, all right? So I'm really just going to have to do my due diligence in terms of just really analyzing this market and saying, hey, look, a lot of momentum is going to be coming in over the next 4, 5, 6 weeks. I have to individually take those weeks and just do what I can in assessing, hey, look, how much is this pound going to run to the upside? All right, based off of knowing it's undervalued and knowing this market needs to return back to some kind of stability in terms of, hey, look, investors are looking at this thing and wanting to pour back into this market. Is that happening right now? Are we going to get a little bit of a pullback, or do I need to just start heading in on this thing and start giving you guys my buy ideas? Okay, so we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. Supposedly there was a mover today because that just really wrapped everything up for me. Supposedly there was a mover today with the NZD USD. I haven't even looked at it. And we did have a little bit of a price action push. So, Aussie pushed. Obviously, New Zealand's going to push. Pretty nice trade there, I guess, for this New Zealand sell-off here. So, an entry-wise, maybe would have been something there. Not really too much that I really like too much. I like the Aussies buy up a little bit better, But, hey, I heard the guys talking about it. Wanted to check it out. So, guys, other than that, that is it. Those are our 3 pairs. Euro, let's see what we get. It's wedging up. Let's get some price action. If we can break that wedge there to the low, maybe we'll continue to get a sell-off, okay? Aussie, look, at the end of the day, when you're looking at it in terms of that monthly perspective, for the past year, 2 years, We've been buying this. It's been rare for us to break that 74.70 level, 74.30s to 74.70s, or actually 74.30s to really around 75 flat. It's been hard for us to break that level. Are we now getting our push? Did Monday just show us that we're getting a push back to the upside and that we need to potentially buy this thing up into the 76s? We'll see. Okay, we'll see. Again, U.S. could really help us out here and break that low, like I mentioned last week, but who knows if we'll get it. And again, for the pound, do I need to acclimate? Do I need to change my game up for this pound? All right, I have to ask myself that, and if I do, then I need to start throwing out some buys. But until then, I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure. We've actually had some. Oh, that's the NZD. We've actually had some pretty big. We've actually had a nice little sell-off today, so we did have a rejection. So we'll see how this overnight does. Okay, so guys, your profit always and forever will be my motive. Get inside that rookie room, get inside that rookie course, and I'll see you guys on the flip side, okay? So pushing out hella content over the next couple of weeks. Hope you guys enjoy. All right, peace.